Reliable artificial intelligence is the name of the game when it comes to building a modern, successful consulting practice. And today on the show, I'm going to show you the 5 tools that I use every single week that enable me to build a business that has the profit that I want without a big team and only working 4 days a week. Let's get into it.
Today, I will never be the same, 'cause that's what it takes.
Hi, my name is Russell Pearson and welcome to your Consulting Business Podcast, episode 138. Today on the show, I want to talk about leverage. How do you get more leverage into your business to enable you to have a flexible and highly leveraged business that enables you to focus your time where it's going to get the best bang for buck? You see, modern consultants really need to be thinking about value. What is the value they're creating? Because in the old days, there were consultants, and there still very much are consultants who are starting to go the way of the dodo. They're becoming extinct, who would be contractors coming in to be paid on an hourly rate to do a specific task. Well, we've just seen recently that 7,000 people were actually removed from Microsoft's company because those roles, those knowledge roles, no longer existed and they're not coming back. They're being taken over by large learning models and artificial intelligence. And so what do we do as consultants to ensure that we're staying highly valuable and highly relevant? Well, we need to be focusing the time that we're working with the clients on helping humans make decisions, take steps, and get outcomes. And that's because of the nature of human nature is that people might have 100% of all the answers that they need, but they're still not going to take steps without support. And so that's our role. And so we can help people take steps even if there are a mountain of answers in front of them and options in front of them. We're going to help mentor and guide them to create those outcomes. And so these are 5 tools that I use every week to ensure that I have a business that is highly leveraged, so I only have to work 4 days a week doing work that I absolutely love, and I have a small team of virtual assistants. There are 2 of them who enable me to do this sort of work every single week, and that includes shows like this, right? That's part of my working week. I don't add that on top. And so let's talk about the 5 different applications that are artificial intelligence powered that are going to give you more leverage in your consulting business. The first artificial intelligence tool is Otter.ai, which is a fantastic transcription tool. I've been trying to say fantastic, and I keep saying fantastic, but you won't know that because this thing's been edited. But it's a fantastic transcription tool that'll enable you to not only just take notes, but actually create summaries, create action plans off the back of things like meetings. So I've been using it for a couple of years. I don't tend to use it in the meeting function so much. I'll take recordings and I'll put it into the transcription program to do the same sort of work because I don't really like having an artificial intelligence sitting there in private and personal meetings. But if I do group calls and if I do group trainings or if I do presentations, I have it there to actually transcribe the things that I've said so I can use it for more communication, action plans, or even marketing in the future. But a lot of people are using it to, let's say, transcribe their Zoom calls or their Teams calls. And then they'll take that and create notes that they can use as a summary of what was said. They'll also create action plans and next steps with their clients that might have been on those calls. So if you don't have a transcription program that can take notes, also take audio and video and basically read it, create a transcription of it, and then be something that you can interrogate, then I recommend Otter.ai. Now, let's talk about interrogation. Once we've got a transcription, we can use the artificial intelligence within the software to start asking it questions about what was said. That's everything from, did you notice anything about the tone of how people said things and the words that they said or didn't say, right through to what are the highlights that I need to be aware of, or how can I use this in a marketing sense from an SEO point of view? What are some of the keyword phrases that are very strong within this transcription? Or what I use a lot of the time for this podcast is to create a blurb on what the podcast is about. Now, sometimes it can go a little off track by default and say, things like Pearson was talking about this specific point. And I don't want it to say Pearson like I'm some sort of weird professor or something. I want it to be directed specifically to my audience. And so I will tell it, don't call me Pearson. Also, don't even talk about me as the host. I want to talk about what are the valuable points that are relevant for someone who is running or growing consulting business. That way I'm focusing very much on the audience, and it will then give me a blurb that's highly relevant and specifically tailored for the audience that I'm trying to speak to. So You can interrogate the transcription once it's been created, which allows you to do all sorts of different things. You can get a free trial, so go and check that out. And if it's of use, I'd love to hear how you're using it, maybe outside of the things that I've already described today. AI-powered software number 2 is Zapier, which is something I've been using for years. And it wasn't artificial intelligence powered before, but it is now. And so what Zapier is all about is it's a Swiss Army knife for connecting softwares. And so you can have one piece of software that has some information and you want it to go to another piece of software. Well, Zapier will be the connection. So you can have it do all sorts of different workflows. So you don't just have it connect to one piece of software. You might have it connect to 2, 3, 4, even 5 pieces of software to enable you to do all sorts of things. Now, I use it a lot for marketing and sales, but you can absolutely use it with your team. So say like a new client comes on board, we can actually have it go and put that client into our CRM. We can update the CRM. We can then send an email out to our team to get them to do the next steps. And maybe there are next steps created in a piece of software like Trello or something like that. But it'll connect to all these pieces of software and enable you to not have to find software that naturally connects. The great thing about Zapier is it allows you to create connections that don't exist because of existing partnerships between different pieces of software. It creates the connection for you. So very useful, but I will say one thing about it, it is highly technical. And I only say highly technical because it's not it's not hard to use, really. The thing that's kind of difficult is it has no real visualization of what's happening. It's kind of like this step goes to this step and this step, and you don't really get a good sense of what's going on. So if you're highly visual, I suggest that there is another piece of software you might want to use, which is N8N, so N8N, and it has a more visual look for the same sort of outcome. So it will connect pieces of software and create workflows that'll do things on automatic to enable you to enable you to spend more time working with clients than having to do a lot of the administrative tasks. And so I connect it with everything from lead magnets, which we'll talk more about later, through to my CRM, through to different softwares, through to my email scheduler. And especially if you've got a number of different pieces of software to do specific things, it's a fantastic way, whether you use an 8N or whether you use Zapier, to connect them as if it's one piece of software. By the way, if you're interested in more artificial intelligence tools, we've actually got a list of artificial intelligence tools and prompts, which you can get by going to the show notes, and we've got a link there for you to download right now. The third artificial intelligence software is something I'm really excited about. This is something I've been playing around with for the last couple of months, and I've been able to do some pretty cool things with it. So it's Replit.com, and it enables you to build applications and software. I come from a programming space, and so building web applications is something I kind of know how to do. And so when I saw this, I thought, well, I'll have to get back into the code again. But when I started it up, I realized I didn't need to know anything about coding. In fact, this application will build custom and completely unique applications from scratch without you needing to know anything about programming. And so what I've done with it recently is we've created a sales simulator that actually teaches the 3 sales steps that we teach inside the Consulting Guild, and it enables people to interact with artificial intelligence prospects so it can feel like you can practice with how to actually have the conversation so you know what process you're going to be using at any one time. So we enable people to have chats so we can generate opportunities that actually move people into a sales funnel. We can engage people in the first step of that sales funnel in a thing we call priority calls, and we will actually show people how to disqualify people or how to identify if someone is ready to take a step with you. And finally, we show people how to use design calls to diagnose and then prescribe specific steps that the client really is ready to take on and really happy to take the next steps with. I created this sales simulator, which is now inside the Consulting Guild. We're all testing it right at the moment, and it's enabling people to practice in a way that means that they don't have to practice out there in the real world where they could potentially lose an opportunity. They can practice here, at least get up to speed with understanding the steps that they're putting in place, and then they can go out to the real world and they can actually get much better conversion. So that's just what I've done, but what could you do with it? I'd love to know in the comments below, what is an application that you could actually create, either for your existing clients, or maybe it's for something that you would have people become leads in by using. So maybe some sort of sales calculator or some other thing within your speciality. It does all sorts of stuff, and I recommend that even if you just use the free account, jump on, play with it, just to get a sense of how it works. You'll type in the type of application you want to create. It then asks you some questions about it and then goes to work. And then within 15 minutes, it'll have a first draft. In fact, the sales simulator only took me an hour and a half to build. And then I've spent the last probably 6.5 hours training it on how to improve its responses. Absolutely a game changer is Replit and some of the other programs out there that are enabling just regular Joes to be able to build software without any coding, without any programming knowledge. Definitely one to check out, replit.com. So the fourth artificially intelligent powered tool is Canva. Now, Canva's been around for years, and it's not something I have used as much, but my team certainly use it. The reason I don't use it is because I was trained as a graphic designer, and so I fell in love back in the 90s with the Adobe suite of products, and funnily now, if you've got any experience with using Photoshop or Illustrator, it now has artificial intelligence in it and can do some amazing things. But if you are a novice to that, or if really like creating graphics is not your area of excellence, then Canva will do a fantastic job because Canva has templates and themes which you can use basically out of the box. It has a bunch of stock photography that you can use as well. What I love about this new wave of artificial intelligence is it now is powered by artificial intelligence in a way that it will create content for you. So that means it'll create the written word for you based off a written prompt that you'll create. It'll add in text. It'll also create changes to graphics and imagery for you. It'll create smart charts. So it'll recommend certain chart formats that you can use so that your presentations look really good. And so whether you're doing presentations, whether it be for clients or maybe from a stage or wherever it might be, if you're doing social media posts and you're creating social tiles, maybe you're creating some PDFs and putting some publications or guides together, it's a really useful tool for that. And it now has VEO3, which is the sort of the new wave of AI generated video on the inside too, which means that you can create custom video right in Canva itself. And so really the thing with Canva is to explore it a little bit deeper now. A lot of people are still using it as surface level environment, but deeper in there is so many other things it can now do. One of those things is workflows. So talking about the topic today, which is leverage, we can now have it part of a workflow. So let's say we start something over here, it then goes to Canva, creates the outcome that we want, and then passes it on to the next step. All that can be integrated. And so the integration within Canva is so much better too. I'd love to know, are you using Canva? Is Canva something that you're using on a regular basis? The majority of consultants I work with are using Canva. So if you're not using it already, I'd love for you to go and check it out and explore it. You know, I've got no dog in the race when it comes to it. I prefer the Adobe suite of products because I like the control that it comes from, knowing how to use those products. But what I love about Canva, it's very fast. It's very fast to get an outcome that is professional or next to professional and actually makes you look better than if you try and do it yourself on some other graphics program. And the fifth and final piece of artificial intelligence software is LeadPages. Now, this one is one I use every single week. It is probably one of the most valuable pieces of software that I use because what it does is it brings in leads for me every single day. Every day I have leads coming in from LeadPages because it's been around for a while. Before AI was really on the scene, I was already using this software, so it would create landing pages for me. And those landing pages have something like a lead magnet, which in my case tend to be guides or cheat sheets and things like that to enable people to get a little bit of value, but for them to give me their contact details so I can continue to communicate with them. So it'll enable you to create those landing pages in a very easy way. You won't need any coding to do it. It will connect with Zapier if you want it to connect in with other pieces of software. It will also connect with a whole bunch of integrations that it already has custom inside the piece of software too, but you can use it for landing pages. You can use it to actually create websites. It'll create the entire website within the system, and you can actually just upload your PDF to it so that it will automatically send out an email with that lead magnet attached. So you don't have to connect it in with some other bulk email software to actually get it to work out of the box. Now, I recommend that you do. I also recommend that you get a custom domain that you can add to it because it will connect with custom domains. But it is a fantastic piece of software, and what I love about it is it's very, very clear about the conversion rates. Since I've been using LeadPages, I've been able to take my conversion rates from probably about 7% back when I was building my own pages to now up to 90% with these LeadPages pages. And so it even tells you specifically what templates are converting better than others, which is, some really great intelligence behind the scenes. Now that it's artificially intelligent, it also has ways of recommending things for you and has ways of creating content and creating landing pages based off your specific needs. And so it becomes even easier than it's ever been to use. And so if you're not using LeadPages, go and try it out. I definitely would recommend using it if you don't have something else to make landing pages for you, because it's probably one of the more valuable pieces of software, bringing in those leads and then prospects on a daily basis so that it continues to drive the client flow in my business. So that's 5 pieces of software that I use. Me and my team use this every single week. And I don't have a dog in the race. I don't have any subscriptions that you can buy. I don't have a white labeled version of this that you can get. I don't have some sort of affiliate scheme working with any of these pieces of software. So I'm just here to recommend them to you because they're ones that I use to actually create the leverage that I've got in my business. So if you're wanting to work a little less, if you want to engage more clients more often, even while you sleep, if you're wanting to make it easier for you to deliver to those clients, if you want to create workflows within your system to get rid of a lot of the back-end administrative things, then maybe have a look at these pieces of software and see how they can be implemented really cleanly into your consulting business. And just remember, the reason why we're doing this is not to make our business high tech. We're actually still wanting to have that human connection element so that we can stay relevant with our clients in the future. We're doing it to get massive leverage so we can spend more specific time with the clients working on high value exercises, which is strategy and creating outcomes and helping people take steps and make decisions, than it is about doing the little bits and pieces. We can put most of that into workflows these days. We've just given you 5 of the pieces of software that I use on a weekly basis, but there are all sorts of other pieces of software that are specifically designed for your sector. So the clients that you work with and ideally the specialization that you have that you can deliver for them. So there's 2 areas that I suggest that you have a look at. And if you're not already aware of all the custom tools or all the tailored tools that are out there specifically for your industry and for your expertise, just do a little search on Google. Yes, Google is still relevant. You could use ChatGPT if you like, because that's the last tool that I definitely use on a daily basis. I'm using ChatGPT, not to actually do most of the writing for me, but as a brainstorming partner. I didn't mention it here today because it's one that we've talked about to death. But if you don't have sort of a brainstorming partner, whether that be ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or one of those others, I recommend definitely get that because it is good for searching, and it's good for searching when you don't know specifically what you're searching for. But Google's still relevant, and what I love about relevant, it allows you to do those exact matched searches so you can get more detailed searches to find exactly what you're looking for. So, inverted commas, if I'm an accountant, accounting software for. And then it'll give you more specific results. So do those searches within your own world. I'd love to know what pieces of software you're using. Go to the comments and let me know there. Also subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you ring the bell and get notified when the next episode becomes available. My name is Russell Pearson. This is Your Consulting Business Podcast, episode 138. Until next time, stay passionate, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.